Everybody loves coding on the front end when you're learning HTML and CSS, making pretty buttons. Even JavaScript isn't that bad when you're making baby HTTP requests for your weather app. But the honeymoon phase quickly subsides when you get to state management and you're left with React. So how did we get to this state? Web pages in the past used to be made with massive monolithic files, one for each page on your site. But this creates a problem. What if you want to put a nav pane at the top of each page? With the current model, you would have to have 3 copies of the nav pane in your code, one for each page. So we decided to add components, basically blocks of code that did one thing. Now instead of having 3 identical copies, you'll only have 1 copy and 3 pointers to it. So if you update the nav bar once, it updates across the entire site. This sounds great, but now components can't talk to each other directly. Each one is self-contained. They now need to send explicit messages to each other, which works fine at first, but quickly becomes a headache as the application grows. And thus begins the giant mess. In a modern website, you may have dozens to hundreds of components and you're passing around state from one to another. For a component to display properly, it must know the state of the other components. So they thought, wait a minute, why don't we have just one big shared state that all of the components can talk to at the same time? We'll call it global state. Nah, just kidding. They called it the store. I don't know, man. Nothing on the front end makes any sense. So going back to the original design, we traded one giant thing for a bunch of small things all hooked up to one big thing, plus a shitload of complexity. So while the user does get a faster, more reactive website, and the backend gets fewer API requests, the front-end developers are left with a giant turd. Now, to be fair, I have no solution for this, so leave a comment if you know how to fix the giant mess that is front-end web development.